Good morning, everyone. This is Aunt Beth. Welcome to my lamppost, the light I'm currently living in. This morning it's going to be a little bit different because I want to talk to you about a dream that I believe the Lord gave me and the counsel as a result of that dream. And for documentation purposes, I had this dream Sunday morning, January 21st, 2024. Today is Wednesday of that same week, the 24th. And I want to talk to you about this dream that I had that I believe is about the U.S. economy. I'm going to describe it. Then I'm going to believe what I believe is the interpretation and God's counsel. If you want to comment below on any insights that you have, that would be fabulous so we can process together. I was hesitant to say something and really wrestled with this, but Proverbs 24 this morning talks about if you know something, you better speak up. So I am. I do believe this is of the Lord. I do believe this is of the U.S. economy. But before I start describing my dream, I want to say a few things. First of all, if there's any prophetic word from the Lord, there's counsel attached and guidance on how to respond. So this is not an effort to be clickbait in any means. Secondly, the way the Lord speaks to me is in word parables, word pictures. I guess you'd call it a meme almost. And colors and numbers are significant in dreams. And this particular dream, the numbers 3, 8, and 5 stood out. So, typically 8 means new beginnings. 3 is referring to the Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. And 5 means grace. So let me review this dream really quick. I've got my notes here so I don't forget anything. Usually, by the way, if the dream is from the Lord, you won't forget it. So, and I have had a few dreams in my life. So I guess that means I'm getting old, according to Acts. The old men and women will dream dreams. So, okay. So I was in the interior of a rocket ship. And somehow I knew we were on the 8th level. And I was with a bunch of people, but I don't remember any of them. We were gradually working our way up to the 3rd level, which is where the control room was. And the inside of this rocket ship was painted like sort of an army fatigue green, sort of a dusty, dull green. And it was like a tin can, basically, empty down the center, and there was a gateway or a walkway around the perimeter with railings, and then a ladder on the outside of the railing, so you could go up and down between the floors. And I knew that we were approaching outer atmosphere or stratosphere, and the last booster rocket section had just finished firing, but it failed to separate. You know how when you have a tin can you're opening and that last little bit just doesn't come off? And everything stopped, froze over with like 2 inches of ice on the inside of the rocket. and it was just so quiet, and everything stopped. And then the rocket took a nosedive, like at a 45, 50 degree angle. This was significant. And I knew we had about 2 minutes to fix things and get things right. So I knocked the ice off of the railings and the ladder, and I don't know if you've ever seen construction people slide down steel girders. They grab the outside rails and they just slide. And you have to remember everything's upside down. So I'm on floor 8, I want to get to floor 3, and I've got to slide down. Okay, so I slide down, and when I walked into the control room, everything was right side up. There wasn't any panic. There wasn't, it was just intense focus. And there was a galleyway, like an observation deck, that I noticed outside of my brain. And there were some cream leather chairs, like Danish modern teak chairs, sitting around part of the galley. And I don't remember very many people. And I walked up to a mechanic in the center of the room, and he had one of those old-fashioned, huge, like, pumps, and it had been painted many, many times, and it was in a dollar bill green. And he had uncovered the part of I guess it was the cylinders for the engine. I don't know my engine parts very well, but he'd taken the cover off on four sides, or there were 4 valves going up and down. And he was just standing there looking at me. It was my job to flick off the cores of ice that had contaminated the oil. So the cores were about this big around, 2 inches in diameter, and maybe they were plugs, and they were like in between each piston, I guess. They were round cores, about 2 inches thick. So I just flicked them off to the side onto the floor. The oil was fine. It's beautiful golden oil. The mechanic picked out these silver, like, inchworms, and I thought, are they evidence, or are they precious? But he picked out 5 silver. They were bright silver, like the color of mercury in a thermometer, and he put 2 in his front left chest pocket and 3 in his cargo pants pocket, left front. And they were alive, and they started wriggling and trying to call up. His pants pocket, I knew it was below the level of the table. But remember, we only have about 2 minutes to turn things around. And then all of a sudden, the rocket went from 8 levels to 4 levels, recovered, turned around with about 2 feet of room to spare before it hit the ocean, and headed inland to the heartland of the United States. We went over farms, and it looked like a quilt. It was beautiful. Farms and small villages. I did not see any cities. And I woke up. So I wrote some notes down on what I believe the Lord is saying, but also his counsel. I believe that he's saying that the last effort to recover the economy and keep it going into outer space will fail, and we'll take a nosedive and a devastating crash. What could be a devastating crash? The only hope that we have. is to get to the control room and realize that God's in control, not us. But we have to weed out the contamination in our life. I mean, water in and of itself is a good thing, but water and oil don't mix, and it can slug an engine and destroy it. So we have to separate out the contamination of good things in our life, but they're out of place. Our assets will be reduced by half, by 50%. We went from 8 levels to 4 levels. And we will recover, and we'll have a change in direction. Instead of lifting ourselves up into the stratosphere, we will be flying at about private plane level, maybe 2,000, 3,000 feet over and into the heartland. So we'll have a change in direction. We will be under much lower circumstances, but it's going to be okay. So, and I know that rocket ships aren't powered by the kind of engine that I saw, because right after that I saw an overview, like I was above the rocket ship looking at it. It was going east to west. It was the shape of like a stylized rocket from the 40s and 50s. It was like an apple seed, it is pointed and then round, and had the little 4 landing fins on it. But I think our power is not from the pump, from the dollars. It's going to be God. And I think this speaks to us individually, but us as a nation, that we cannot be lifting ourselves up. We're on the wrong mission. Our ladder's against the wrong wall, to use the phrase. But our only hope is to get to the control room as fast as possible where God is working. Let Him uncover what needs to be uncovered, but we have a part to play in getting the contamination out of our lives. Okay, good things, but in the wrong place. And there is hope, but our circumstances will be reduced by about 50%. And our mission is going to change. Instead of lifting ourselves up, we're going inland to the heart. And we're not powered by money anymore. So I hope this blesses and encourages you. If you want to put your comments below, I'll read them usually about once a week when I am posting the next word that I believe is from the Lord to encourage you. So, we individually are going to be okay, but our mission is to get to the control room as fast as possible. Let God uncover the contamination in our lives. We need to remove it, and things are going to be okay, but we need to change direction. So, have a fabulous day. All God's best.